Civ 6 Guide. This is a beginner's guide to the video game Civ 6. So first we're going to start with the menus on the upper right. You've got science, culture, faith, gold, tourism, and then you've got trade routes, and you've got your envoys, and then you've got what are called strategic resources. So this menu doesn't really do anything. It just kind of lists all the cities. But the science is used to research technology. It's only important in the beginning of the game. At the end of the game, it really doesn't matter anymore. Culture, in the old versions, it was to expand your borders, which is, this is your border. To expand it, you would increase your culture, and your city, I guess it's not letting me do it. So your city has certain range that it works within, and if your city has certain cultural items, it expands the border for your city, which therefore expands it for your whole civilization. And you can use it to win tiles that belong to other civilizations or cities. So that's the way it's traditionally done in Civilization, using culture, which is going to be arts and music. Now there's faith. Faith is religion. Faith does a few different things. You can get different units. The warrior monk, they're actually pretty good. In the earlier stages of the game, they're pretty powerful. In the later stages of the game, you can still use them, but they'll lose direct combat. You can use them to overtake a city or to go scouting, etc. The apostle you can use to spread your religion to other cities or other players. The naturalist is used to create a national park, and I do have one. I believe it is right here. When you see the pop-up, it says Grassland Hills, Owner India, Yaroslav National Park. The opponent turned this into a national park. I've walked tiles all over the place with my naturalist, and I haven't found a tile that they can turn into a national park, but it does have a benefit. You can also use the warrior monk to defend your cities. I don't have them here because they've been fighting, and I had to pull them out of here. But if you look around, you're going to see that I do have some cities, such as this one here that is garrisoned, 57 melee strength. So he's going to protect that city early on in the game. Gold is used to make a purchase. You click on the city, you click over here, you can purchase these items with gold. They appear immediately in the city, and you can use it in the next turn. You can purchase units, and you can do certain types of development in the neighboring tiles that you can purchase, and you can purchase other items. You'll see them on the list. It's different for every city. So here it says buildings, and it says power plant, broadcast, research lab. So you got different options for what you can build. I usually use it to buy units, and I research everything else. You can also use it for trade, etc. So tourism, there's different ways to get tourism, and you have a certain amount of tourism points, and if you become the #1 player for tourism, you see I'm the #1 player, you can be the person who has the most tourism points. But I don't remember what the benefit is, but it's a good benefit. So you want to be the player with the highest amount of tourism. There's different ways to do tourism. One of them is with your artifacts. I have an artifact over here. It's a shipwreck. It brings tourism when brought back to your city. You don't have to actually bring it back to your city. So over here you have the trade routes. You use these to make money. Let's see if I have a trader somewhere. They're not over here. They're over here. This guy is one of the religious units. I don't see any traders. But they earn kind of small amounts of money running between cities. Here's one over here. Both cities make money, but the owner of the trader makes a lot of money. So you can run trade routes. It's a little bit of a pain. It's not that big of a deal. But I'm at the point where I got nothing else to research because I've got enough weapons and I've got enough buildings. So I'm doing traders. These are envoys. Envoys, you send them to city-states and they give you influence. You can see in this one, it says that I'm the primary influencer and you get certain benefits. For example, I can see 3 tiles around the city-state, which is a good feature. If I start a war, if I get involved with a war, this city-state's going to fight along my side. So that is where you see if you have envoys available. It says 0, which means that I cannot send any envoys right now. Over here you've got nuclear device, thermonuclear device. You can see that they are in the silo over here. You need the military engineer to build the silo. You get the military engineer by going here, and you see it says military engineer. He's the one who builds the silos. They have a limited range, and you're going to want to build it. This used to be on the edge of my territory, but now that I used those weapons, you can see this is the results of the weapons. It is no longer on the edge of my territory. These are your strategic resources. You need them to build certain types of weapons, such as aircraft carriers or nuclear weapons. Over here, we've got the tech tree. I've already completed it. There are players in the game that were still researching. Look at what turn I'm on. I think it says 956. The game ended 500 turns ago. And I saw players that were still researching technology. This is the civics tree. If you want, you can click on a civic way on the right. Like I could click on this one and it will research everything on the left. This is a government. It's a pain to do this because all the writing is so small, and you got wildcard at the bottom. You can put anything. I usually put anything that has a financial advantage. You want the gold, and number 2, you don't want the war wariness. So I get rid of anything that reduces war wariness. This is religion. And it shows you all the benefits and all your cities and how many people. So if you want to target a city that might be at risk, for example, over here, Chennai is at risk because there's 8 to 12. If he gets that up to 13, I could lose my influence. So you want to go and make sure you convert them. And the reason why is because you get additional loyalty if every city is loyal to your religion. And that means that they're less likely to rebel, etc. So you want that additional loyalty. You have something called a pantheon. See over here it says fertility rights. City growth rate is 10% higher. I'm okay with that. Great people. You see all these great people. Usually you want to use them. The benefits they get when they're not used, usually not very worthwhile. So you want to find a use for them. I had 2 of them that were naval commanders. I had to find 2 ships, and I used them to enhance, I believe it's the range of the ships. So use them as quickly as you can. The great works come from people, and you have to have the person. They come from your culture. You have to have music and arts in order to produce great people, and they produce great works. I believe it happens when they're defeated in battle. I don't remember, but there's something that happens when they're defeated in battle. They become a martyr and they produce something. And there are artifacts which I think I showed. I have an artifact somewhere. Here's an artifact. It says shipwreck. The artifact is like a great work. For example, one of them that I found was a bracelet. They have some value and you can trade with them, and when you create the archaeologist, it highlights where all the artifacts are. Okay, over here you've got what you're currently developing. You've got a little menu where you could do units. So if you want to find a unit, you can click on them. If something's missing, you say like, well, I don't know where my naturalist is, that's where he is. So you probably don't need the civics panel later in the game or the research panel. So I'm going to not keep that open, it's too big. So that's right there. Lower left, you've got the mini map. Unfortunately, it's kind of small. You can hide it and bring it back up. You see you can do religion. And now I can see, well, what's the religious influence on a particular city. Mine is blue. You can see, continent isn't very useful. This is the quality of the land, which, for example, is used when you build housing. This is, I believe, where you can build a new building. This is the form of government. For example, you can see monarchy is over here in the pink. These are the tiles and who owns them. This is tourism. You can see around his capital city, he's got a lot of, it's my city now. But around my capital, I've got tons of tourism because I built all these items. And then Empire shows the production in all the cells. Over here you've got, show the grid, who cares. Resource icons. That is something like cocoa. Yield icons. This I never use, but obviously it says great profit over here. I don't know how it's used. So I'll make that a future video. Map search. So if you do oil and then search, found 22 results. Okay. You can do this view maybe if you have a slow computer. You could use what looks like Civ 2 graphics. Full screen map, not very useful. But they should make a bigger mini map. Okay, on the upper right, you've got all the different guys, and you notice now it's on the left here. I really don't want to go into everything because it's very complicated and it needs to be its own video. A lot of this is not useful. But notice that it shows you who they're friends with. And I noticed that these guys were angry with everybody else, not just me. You will see options. It says declare war. You can build an embassy. I've already built them all. Make a deal, make a demand. And this is something you do when you declare war. Like if you want to get a city back, you can choose whatever the option, reconquest, and then they won't get angry with you if you're going after one of your own cities. And you see you got buttons over here, what they've been doing. Printing technology researched. Doesn't say how long ago. Reasons for current relationship is going to give you some different information here. You see over here it says you're warmongering. They started war on me, and then I'm pretty sure when the war ended, the guy who started war on me denounced me for being a warmonger. I mean, it's stupid. We occupy a city belonging to their friend or ally, you know, for example. When you make a deal, let's say I do this, it says I cannot accept this deal. No matter what you do, I have nothing that I'm willing to trade for. No matter what you do, it will tell you if they won't take it under any circumstance. I cannot accept this deal. I have nothing I'm willing to trade. Never mind. And let's say I do this. I cannot accept this deal under any circumstances. So you don't have to waste your time trying to do a deal. You've got money. You can do cash, gold per turn. Luxury resources, you don't want to do if you only have one. You want to do it when you have a large quantity. And then you've got strategic resources. You've got cities. They've traded cities before, and you can do open borders. And then be careful if you're in the window mode, because you can quit the game by hitting the wrong button over here. Over here, we've got overall. This is your score in relation to the other players. I'm on top. This is obviously the science victory. Whether you've achieved it or not, I haven't, but I'm going to just for fun. This shows that I've captured 4 capitals, enemy players. This guy is still in the game, and I guess the other 3, either I removed them or somebody else did. And then the religious victory. It shows that this player converted 3 civilizations to his religion. I started out a different religion, and someone converted my civilization to a different religion. So I adopted the newer religion because it was just too many cities I had to change. These are city-states. You can send envoys and get different benefits. Look for the ones where you receive gold, or maybe war assistance, or where you can go through their property, etc. You can see that some give a lot more than others. These are trade routes. A lot of the trade routes are not that great. Be careful about the distance that they have to travel in order to do the trade, because it might not bring in a lot of cash. And it doesn't matter if it's an enemy or not. These are trades going towards your cities by other players. You can see that you get very little, and that they're bringing their religion with them. Okay. Game froze up. Hopefully it will unfreeze. If the game doesn't unfreeze, I will make a second video. Espionage. So I don't like the espionage feature in this game. I like the one in the previous version. The one in the previous version was a lot more fun. You could see what level that they were on, and you could see, like, I think there were more features for different things you could do. And it was easier. The layout was a lot better. I think that they made it a lot worse. My advice is you're going to want to put it in capital cities for your enemy. And you can see over here I put one in Paris and the capital over here. They're not that useful. You can steal technologies, which is pretty cool early in the game, but I don't think that they're that useful, and they're more of a pain and they're more trouble than they're worth. But I do advise you put them in your own city and use it to uncover other spies from the enemy, and it shows you the mission history. Nothing worth reading. So I really don't spend any time looking at any of this. You really want to see graphs, but obviously there's no graphs. And you see over here it says control and it says owned. What good is it if they all say the same thing? This is useful because it shows you which cities are unhappy, but it doesn't click to the city, and it shows you if growth is halted, which means that you can go and try to fix it. You see a lot of unhappy people. You want to make sure you're not at war. And then the gossip is kind of stupid. Make sure that you're not at war. There'll be an X if they're at war. This one has no indicator. I don't know why. But usually it's a green, a yellow, or a red face, and an X is if you're at war. Global resource. This is pretty cool because it shows you who has what resources. You know that if someone doesn't have oil, then they're going to be easy to defeat, for example. But the problem is it doesn't show by the person. You want it to be shown by the person so you know which players are... Like, okay, so over here I can kind of see that this player over here, Philip II, doesn't have coal and he doesn't have iron. So that gives me an idea of what types of weapons he's going to have. And when you look at uranium, they all have it. But if somebody didn't, then you know they can't do a counter strike. And over here, if you do something like, let's try scarcity, you can see that you see like how this guy has high numbers. It says 10. He's got lots of spaces filled, and the woman over here doesn't vertically. That means that she doesn't have any resources. She wants them. And the guy on the left is me. I've got tons of them. So when you want to trade, you want to go for somebody who's got a lot of resources, like the guy on the right, more willing to trade, but he's got to be happy. If he's unhappy with you, he's not going to trade. So over here you got messages. You got to use the right mouse button to get rid of them. The important one is that if you lose a unit, you want to be able to check these messages because you're not always going to know. The game doesn't alert you properly. It puts up a little tiny message that you're not going to see. Or if an enemy civilization is defeated, you're going to want to be able to identify those two icons. Choose production. I don't want to do it right now because it isn't producing anything. You want to make sure that this is empty over here. You want to produce anything that makes money. Money is the most important, and then number 2 is production. So I'm going to do power plant. And then it goes to the next city. Because neighborhood doesn't have any submenu, that means it needs to take up a spot. Over here it says 12 out of 19 for housing. It's not an emergency for me to get a neighborhood, but there's an empty tile right there, right over here. So we're going to try to place it on an empty tile. And then we'll get some additional housing. Over here, I see some empty tiles. We're going to put it on this. It's a +6, which is really good. Over here, you see that he needs repairs. I could either do something that brings in money, but the repairs only take a few turns. So you want to do the repairs. This is science. I don't need it because I've already researched everything. This, oh, I saw something. The aqueduct is only 2 turns, so I'm going to do the aqueduct. This is unit needs orders. He's going to check this out. And you see there's a repair road. He's going to repair the road. This guy is going, this is not my property. So I'm going to advance to here. Check to see if anything here needs development. It looks like no. And now it says next turn. It doesn't mean that you can't move. You go over here where it says movement. It says 0 of 2. He can't move. And he can build 4 more times. This is an airstrip. It's built by a military engineer. They're very important. You go over here. You hit the gold thing. You see military engineer. Use them to build airstrips and missile silos and the defensive areas, which look like this. You can park a tank over here, and these can fire at the surrounding tiles. Okay, so over here when you highlight, you see it says Wales luxury resource, oil strategic resource. Crabs bonus resource. Bonus is the lowest tier, luxury is the middle tier, and strategic is the highest tier. Avoid the ones that say bonus. Look for the ones that say luxury resource, even if it's here on the map, and develop those first. I'm sorry, you want strategic resources first. And then you do the luxury, and then you do the bonus. Now keep in mind certain resources like uranium and oil and coal and steel or iron are extremely important. You need them to win the game, and you might not see them until later in the game. Until you research the technology, you won't see it, so you don't know if you have it. You need as much land as possible to get all those strategic resources and luxury resources and artifacts. There is an artifact right here which will give you a bonus. It's a shipwreck, it says. And there's artifacts on land. When you have the archaeologist, it highlights all of the artifacts with a white line around the tile. Okay, over here, this pulls up this menu. It'll show you if people are displeased and why. So you see that there's a national park that the enemy made that he's getting a benefit from. It says that he needs more amenities, and it gives you some ideas for what you can do, like end the war to lose the penalty. So this is the one that I check the most. And then this is used, it shows you a bit of information. I really don't use this one ever. And then this one gives you the religious information. I only use it to turn on the map. But mostly, like I said, you want to check out over here. And the advisor gives you good information. Add district's entertainment. The entertainment district You build it surrounded by cities, and you try to reach the most cities as possible, and one entertainment district, for example, it's obviously this one over here that looks like it has a stadium and an amusement ride. It can help all the cities that are within 6 tiles. Over here, you can purchase a tile. So for example, I might be able to go here and do purchase tile, and then maybe it will give me a tile on the perimeter. Here's one. I don't need to purchase it because I'm in the process of earning it with my culture, which is the arts and entertainment. My culture is expanding my border, and it shows you in 9 turns I am going to have this tile. Unfortunately, I won't be able to buy anything as a demonstration because I probably already own everything. My cities are just too advanced. This shows you where people are working, right? So you click on it. You see how it's got like a little lock? Now this is locked. And now this has a padlock. See how it works? So you have to have the same number always. They're all locked, so it won't change. But if I unlock it and click around, I'm sorry. Well, I guess it's going to be a little bit of a pain the way the unlocking works. But you can move them around if you want them to operate in a different tile. You see this says focus on culture, and this is focus on food, and this is focus on production, and this is science, and this is faith, and this is gold. So I'm going to remove some of these. Notice it says red means it's ignoring. Okay, this is currently set for food. And I can do ignore, and then I can switch to production if I want, or I can do ignore. So I'm going to go to a city such as this one. Notice there's a lot more people. You see how the people move around? So I want to ignore science. Why are they working on science? I don't need it anymore. And maybe I don't need culture anymore because I've already got good borders. So now I can focus on food and production, and it will automatically move people around. You see over here, this is faith. I could ignore that if I wanted to. And gold, obviously you're not going to ignore that. But what you could do is you could click the gold button, and they will change their positioning to optimize your income. Okay? Now let's say you want to ignore science because you don't need it anymore. You can click these little arrows and hit ignore science, and it will cycle between all of your cities, and you can update it to whatever you want. So if you need money in the game Civ 6, you could go and click this option right here, and you see how it shifted everyone around, and you see how it says plus 38.7. That number is going to change. See, now it went down to 31, and now it went up to 38. The numbers are really small. So if you want to make more gold, you can make that change to all of your cities, and your cities will produce more gold, and the number up over here is also going to change. So let's check the number on the upper left. It says 2362. Now it says 2369. So it also impacts up over here. You probably want your science numbers to be 0. You can't use it. The faith you can use to purchase units for combat. They can be used to sit in the water, to check to see if any ships are coming through. The culture you can turn off unless you're expanding your borders. If you are near the enemy, you might want to keep it on, but if you're far away, maybe not so much. Especially if you're going in and destroying all these guys. So the purchase item, I use all of my gold. I've got 261,000 gold. I just use it to buy modern armor, maybe some helicopters, mobile SAMs, some builders, occasionally a military engineer. I've never bought an observation balloon, but you can see what happens. Now there's a balloon sitting over here, and in my next turn, you see it says 0 of 2 movements. I'll be able to use it in my next turn. If you go to your capital, you see how I have all these districts? If you have the encampment, you have the option of adding something that means that when you buy something, see over here it's got the little drop down, and now I can buy the submarine, a double sub or a triple sub for less than triple the price. You actually get a discount. This is because I have something in the harbor that's been upgraded that allows me to get them at a discount with greater strength. So that is a feature you want to be aware of. The little face here is a recommendation that you buy that item. I don't recommend you focus on it very much. Okay, over here you can see I could buy the Apostle. So he's going to go to different cities. You're going to turn on your faith, which is here. And then you notice that this city that I own doesn't have the color blue. And I'm going to check my mainland over here. They're all looking good. So, oh, and over here it looks like I have another city that lost. So that means I've got to send the apostles to those 2 cities, or I could make one here. Not every city has it. You have to have special buildings before you can make the item. I'm going to make the missionary. I'm going to tell you it's better to make the apostle and do the upgrade and get the orator upgrade, because then you get an extra 2 uses, which means you get a total of 4 instead of 2, and this only has 1. The price goes up every time you buy these, and you get the monk. That's the monk right there. I'm going to put him in one of these cities that's near the enemy so that it's more difficult for them to take over the city. And over here it shows you what the production is. You really don't want to change it unless you really have to, because you might lose some production. So my advice is you just kind of keep it where it is. In the old version, you used to be able to buy production, like accelerate it. You'd pay to accelerate it, but it looks like that's not available anymore. Okay, so over here you've got, for that city, how many buildings there are, how many religious citizens, your amenities. You want to have 0 or greater, otherwise they become unhappy. Housing in general, you see over here there's 17 out of 16, that means I need one more house. They can't grow. It shows you how many turns until they finish the construction or until they add another citizen. They need a place to live. Okay, so I didn't cover everything, but I think I covered a lot. You're going to have to watch my other videos for more information. I'm going to have more videos uploaded in the coming days for Civ 6, and look for my playlist for Civ 6. And you can go to my discussion forum, which is at cheapbooks.cc, and you can look for information on civilization. This is my discussion forum. You go to the board index, then you go to video games and look for turn-based strategy, and then civilization. I know there's not going to be a lot here, but I put information here, and it probably has images so you can see a little bit about what it does. This is where I post all the new information that I use when I'm preparing to make a video. And I have tips about the game, and the tips for the old game is usually the same as the newer version. I will make a tips guide because I'm going to make a tips video, so you'll be able to see it here before I make the video. Okay, and I am the owner of cheapbooks.com, which is a website where you can buy and sell textbooks and books. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.